Hi sis, so let me tell you about the time that I got played, the time I was a clown. So there's this guy that, we were talking or whatever, but not for long. I haven't really been dating. My last like real relationship was maybe 2 years ago. And so I started talking to this boy or whatever. We met at a Shandy's, Chilla's, whatever. And so he was a friend of a friend of a friend. And we come from a small town, so everyone knows everyone. So I knew of him, but I never really knew him. Anyway, long story short, we get to talking or whatever, and I don't know, at some point he's like, hey, listen, I know where this is going, you know where this is going. We should like make this work or whatever. But there's no like be my girlfriend kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, papi, I see where you at with it. Okay. Anyway, Valentine's Day comes around and I'm thinking, am I single or am I not? How am I supposed to be playing this field? Because other people are approaching me and I'm steady like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm in a relationship, maybe I'm not. So Valentine's comes around and I'm like, hey, listen, do you want to be my boyfriend? And he's like, okay, red flag number one. He's like, and I'm like, think about it. That night he calls me and he's like, listen, I've been thinking about it, and at the point where I am in my life, I'm not sure that, we should be doing this, and I'll be bringing you into so much drama in my life, whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. Rejection, wow. So whatever time goes by, like 2 weeks later, he's like, listen, I've thought about it and there's never going to be a right time. So if we're going to do this, like, let's do it. You want to be my girlfriend? And I'm like, aye, papi, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do this. So, we're dating, whatever. And I did the most for this boy. I was acha, okay? When you're doing wife, sorry about that. When you're doing wife duties when you're still the girlfriend, that was me. Clown. Anyway, but it starts happening, like he starts doing these like disappearing shandies where it's like, oh, okay, you were gone the whole weekend, what happened? And he would say, oh, I'm going through stuff, or something came up, and me being the patient perfect little wife person that I'm trying to be, I'm like, okay, baby, I understand, don't let it happen again or whatever. He's like, sharp. Next weekend, same thing. Disappear. And I'm talking like, I'm out here texting, double texting, triple texting, quadruple texting, all of that. No answer. Dollar low answer. Okay. But I'm like, it's cool, he's my boyfriend or whatever. He might be going through shit, but he knows who I am. I'm his girlfriend or whatever. Okay, then some time goes by and he's doing this disappearing thing more often. And at some point I'm like, I will speak out. I'm gonna be that girl. So I'm like, listen, I don't know what you think a relationship is, but to me, a relationship is when you're going through shit, you let me know and we go through shit together. You can't be disappearing out here. And mind you, when he disappears, I'll be seeing like his friends' statuses and stuff where they're out partying. And I'm like, yes, I have FOMO because I also wanted to be there, but also, why couldn't you have just said, I just want to be with the boys? Simple. Babe, me and the boys today. Simple. Okay, but clown little me is like, okay, so yeah. And he's like, yeah, sure, definitely, babe. So I'm like, great. Time goes by. His birthday's coming up. We're planning his birthday. Guest listing. This is what alcohol we're going to need. I'm checking out for specials. We're getting the alcohol early. Wada. Planning birthday parties. What's it going to be? Are we going to get detained? It's going to be indoors. Are we going to rent out a venue? That kind of thing. And it's like, all of this planning there. Okay, sharp. At some point, I have to go to another city. And I tell him, like, listen, I just need a break. I'm feeling very underappreciated here. Like, at home, I was just fighting with everyone. He wasn't making me feel any better. I was just like, I need to get out of this town now. So I do. And then he's like, listen, let's just take this time to really work on, like, really think about if this is what we want. And I'm like, okay. Red flag number 2. But you know me, clown. I'm like, you know what, you're right, boo boo, you're right. But I get there and I meet up with my sister, I meet up with a friend of mine. I'm just going off. I'm just like, hashtag men are trash. Hashtag all men, like anything my sister ever said. She was like, oh no, today looks like it's gonna be horrible. I was like, today must be a man because all men are horrible. Like anything you would say, I would relate it to how bad men are. I was so angry. And I was angry at the fact that I was angry, not like at the situation. I was just like, how can I let my emotions do this to me? Like, whomst are my emotions? Anyway, so at some point I come back and he randomly runs into me at a store. I think I went to like spa or something. He runs into me, he sneaks up behind me and he's like, boo. And I'm like, oh shit, it's you. And he's like, hey babe. And I'm like, oh hi. And he's like, you know, how have you been doing? I've missed you, all that. So I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to tell him how angry I am right now. You girls got more dignity than that. Don't let them see you sweat, you see? So I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, can we talk? Should we talk now? Must we talk later? I'm like, whatever. It's up to you. Balls in your court, bro. He's like, alright, cool. He's like, no. He was there with his friend. So he tells his friend, like, it's okay, bro. You can leave. I need to talk to my girl. So I'm feeling special because, you know, clown. When this boy should have been paying me attention. I was grateful for any little time that I got. It was ridiculous. Like, when did I change so hard? Anyway, so we talk and he's like, no, you know, I've been a shitty boyfriend and yeah, I really want to like do this. I want to like do this right this time. So I'm like, alright, cool. Second chances. I'm all about that. You were going through shit. We can work through things and I need you to make time for me. Like, it's unfair that I have to beg for your time. What am I doing in your life, if I have to be like, please, can you see me today? And you're like, yeah, sure, and then you cancel, and then I'm the one who has to initiate the second time, and the third time, and the 7th time, and the 13th time, and I was like, can't be my life, not me, sorry, can't do it. And he's like, no, I'm gonna make more of an effort. I was like, alright, cool. Time goes by, the disappearing acts happen again, and I'm just like, was I alone in that conversation? Weren't things supposed to change? Like, am I confused alone here? So what are we doing? So I'm getting angry and okay, his birthday comes. Oh, and I went to the other city to fetch like this portrait. I got I commissioned a friend of mine to draw like a portrait of him. Before that I had asked him like, send me your favorite pictures of yourself or whatever. And he did, and I picked one, and I was like, please draw my boyfriend, you know, he's gonna make his day. And I wrote a letter and everything. His birthday comes by, buy balloons and whatever. Couldn't get the cake that I wanted to get, so I got cupcakes, whatever. He comes through. No. Okay, so instead of coming through, he's like, listen, I'm gonna go to my friend and then I'll come to you after. And I was like, I've seen the story a million times. You're not gonna come to me. Once you go there, you're gone. So rather come here than spend the rest of your day there. So he's like, alright, cool. So he comes here and yes, to my mother's house. So he comes here and he's happy and I give him the gift and it's nice and things happen, you know what I mean? And it's cute. It's like exactly what I wanted it to be because I was still too mad to have made it a big enough deal. Also, we're only together for a couple of months. So I was like, I'm not going to go all out for a nigga that's hardly paying me attention, but I want to do something for him. And he's telling me, you know, like he's learning up to this birthday, like people will disappear from your life and stuff, and he's learning to really appreciate the people that are there for him and the people that show up for him, and he's so grateful. And that's the thing, he always makes these speeches and then I come back and I'm like, you're right, it's gonna work out between us. Because why? Clown. Anyway, so his birthday goes by, whatever, he hangs with his friends, he disappears literally until a few days before the birthday party. It was like 10 days later. Because now he's like panicking, he needs help, he needs this sorted, that's not done, these people haven't confirmed, or RSVP, whatever. Anyway, so I was busy that morning, but it was supposed to begin in the afternoon. So the morning of, I'm busy texting, hey, do you need help? Wada wada wada. And he's like, no, Kishap. Me and my friends got this. I'm like, alright, cool. I get there at the time that I RSVP'd to be there. No one's there. So, and people are still setting up. So I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be here for, to help with the setup, to help, damage control, whatever it is. Like, I would have been there. That's what I've been doing this whole time. Like, why are you acting brand new? But I'm trying not to be in my feelings and help to set up. And he was busy getting ready. Comes out, literally says, hi, Lindy. Everyone else is getting hugs, jokes, what. Hi, Lindy. And I'm like, hi. So at some point I'm sitting down, everything's set up. It looked beautiful. They did a beautiful job. Wow. My friends pulled through there. And so I'm sitting down or whatever, and he's like, do you want a drink? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, what do you want? And I'm like, surprise me. He brings me a brutal. I don't drink sweet drinks. I've got a condition. It's a thing. But anyway, I'm like, thank you so much. And I sip, and he goes, you being silent? Why are you sitting here all alone? And I'm like, oh no. I just don't know anyone. I didn't even think I was being awkward. There were like 5 people there. And so until his best friend comes around and asks me the same thing, and I was like, oh, maybe I am being awkward. I didn't even think like I was being weird. But anyway, so then at some point he comes back and he's like, oh, you can't sit here. Mang. And he's like, this is like the special people table. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, you can sit over there. And I'm like, I'm joking, right? I'm like, so I can take pictures of you and your friends. He's like, exactly. I'm like, okay. Anyway, fast forward, the party goes by. We get into a little bit of a tiff because I had to leave early. The next day I asked, like, can I clean up? Why? He's like, no, I'm tired. We'll talk later. Sharp. The party was on a Saturday, I think. The next day was a Sunday. And so I'm like, okay, everyone's tired. That's cool. I'm not going to be that nagging person. So I'm like, cool. Only to find statuses. Because remember, I'm friends with his friends. Or like, I've got them on WhatsApp at least. I'm seeing all these statuses. And they're out. And again, like, I don't know if it's, I also want to be there. Like the FOMO. Or if it's like, yo, you could have just said you want to hang with your people, like, also, the whole thing was, I do not want you in my space, but clown, I was like, you're just busy. Like, the amount of excuses I made for this person is actually ridiculous. When I think, like, now that I'm talking about it, I'm just like, I don't think I've made that amount of excuses for anybody, anytime, ever. Like, ever. Not even my family gets that kind of treatment where I'm like, no, they're just going through something. No, it's because they're sick. No, it's because, like, yo, bruh. This is like half the story even. This is not the whole thing. This is like the summary of the shits that went in. Let me tell you where the final clownery was. At some point after his birthday party, I'm like, listen, I'm still fighting for your attention. I'm fighting for your time. I feel unappreciated. I've never had to feel this way. It's degrading. I'm sad. I don't know what you're doing. I think we should break up. And I was literally like, because I want something that I don't think you can offer me at this point. And until that changes, I don't think we should be together. I was very blunt and, okay, a couple of hours pass. I sent this like in the morning, maybe in the afternoon. Like 7 o'clock comes by. He comments on a status of mine on WhatsApp. It doesn't say anything about my breakup message, my whole breakup message. Mind you, I done called because you know me, like I have no shame in double texting, so I will call you 17 times, and I did, and he didn't pick up, so I was like, I will send the message then. So yes, I did break up with him on WhatsApp, but you understand why. So I reference, you can like reference a message. I reference a message, so I'm like, so you're just not gonna say anything? And he's like, oh shit, I'm only just seeing this now. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'll call you tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. No, he said something like, yeah, I'll call you tomorrow. And then the next day I was like, hey, can we talk? And he said, I'm at work. Can I tell you, in the beginning of this relationship, did he not call me like 17 times maybe 8 times during the day while at work. But now when shit hits the fan, you're at work. Okay. So he doesn't call, obviously. And then a week goes by. And then he video calls me and he says, listen, I'm going to call you tonight. The night comes, I'm on the phone with my sister, so he's calling. So I'm like, listen, he's calling. Okay, sharp. Okay, I'll talk to you. All right, I love you. Bye. By the time I'm done with the goodbyes on the phone with my sister, he hangs up. So I call it, this was like maybe 2 minutes later. I call him back, no answer. I call again, no answer. So me, here I am, I'm like, oh, in the WhatsApp, I put the clapping hands and I say, oh. And then the next day, and mind you, it's like 8 o'clock. Okay, but whatever. Ain't none of my business. The next day, he's like, sorry, fell asleep. Can I tell you, this was maybe a month ago. And he said, I'll call you later. I'm still waiting for the phone call. The amount of clownery, shoot, guys. I never knew. Like, I knew I could be successful. I knew I could be a princess. I knew I could be whatever I set my mind to be. I never knew I could be a clown, sis. I was a whole clown. A whole clown. Anyway, a lot of my friends know who I'm talking about, so I decided not to mention names. Hope you enjoyed story time. I have lots. I have so much. I'm just, like, embarrassed to share them because, like, wow, life. Anyway, don't be a clown. Enjoy your day.